out here in Georgia, they doing it wrong. They worshiping these people and sacrificing chickens and stuff like that. It just turned me away from. I was like, I'm EFAT. I'm EFAT. It's like a game. I'm EFAT. I'm EFAT. I'm like, baby, y'all can have EFAT. I don't know what EFAT, but I just found out about it in Georgia. Came here.
Look, you talking about them sacrificing chickens, but then nobody talking about these Christians communion.
Yeah, that's why I said the communion with the bread and the wine, grapefruit juice. Supposed to be mine, his blood.
Yeah. Energetically speaking, they might as well eat the motherfucker for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can't look down on them for sacrificing the chicken if we ain't ready to deal with.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. They just put a bad taste in my mouth. So I guess I got to do research on them. It's just like, it feels like they worshiping.
Now listen, all of the priesthoods have been infiltrated by rogue elements that's misusing the practice of the priesthood. The same way that these Christian prosperity preachers with these churches big as football stadiums, collecting offerings, sending garbage cans around to fill up with money every Sunday.
Helicopters.
This is a corruption in the priesthood. It don't got nothing to do with the people the people are being misled. But the people that's misleading them is working from the corruption in the priesthood. So you're supposed to have a bad taste in your mouth if you sense the corruption anywhere, not just with the Ife, not just with the Obe, not just with the Gullah, not just with the Satria. Jesus, Muhammad, and Abraham.
Yeah, but they talking about they E5, but they still worship like, thank you, Jesus. They still believe Jesus. I ain't know that. So I'm confused.
Look, because they used to use it. That's Santeria. We used to use the church to conceal the Vadum. Somewhere along the way, the indoctrination of the church ousted the Vadum. A lot of the church practices you see in modern day churches that we have, if you wanted to know the difference, look at a Catholic church, you'll see the difference. These people, a lot of these people is fake practitioners anyway. Just like most of these Christians and Mohammedans and Hebrews is hypocrites too.
Yeah.
So once we realize that the whole thing is judge not that ye may not be judged, but for the same measure by which you judge, by that measure also shall you be judged. Right. In other words, don't condemn nobody because you don't know what they went through that's keeping them locked in that position. You just know it's not for you and you move on and you do the best you can do.
Facts.
So the voodoo ain't above being breached by rogue priests. It's the people who understand it that's going to eventually drag the rogue priest out into the public domain as the frauds they are. Well, I don't care what they use as the underlying method of teaching or preaching or conning. They gonna all get drug out when the people realize that the priesthoods have been corrupted, and the best way to tell is they telling you the truth or is they telling you the script?
That part. All right, King. It's getting late, and I know you got a whole list. I appreciate you, and I'm gonna get back on your live and continue to follow you, baby.
All right, sweetie. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Oh, man, I appreciate you getting me back on, man.
You was in the middle of a sentence when they cut you off last time. I wanted to hear what you was talking about. You was Shit, you had my full attention, and then that bitch blinked out on me.
Well, man, I hope you you like this question. But yeah, I was trying to understand time. You know, again, you know, I created Lineage to get us to start reading some books. It's still hard to get us to read books, but give us the beginning of the Earth. You know, how did everything spin off? I know you had mentioned there was only women on the planet, so I'm just intrigued to hear what you know and how we came to be. Like, what's that whole process look like? If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, Earth at first, Earth has always been a resort location.
Okay.
And the hospitality of Earth became legendary because of the Earth Angels. That's what they used to refer to the women. In modern terminology, the best way to translate it is Earth Angel.
Like the song Earth Angel.
Yeah.
Earth Angel. Because I know you bring it back to music sometimes. I went ahead and did it for you this time.
Right,
Go
because
ahead.
the music helps to understand the concept better.
Yeah.
Because when you put it to the song helps you retain the information.
Right. Right.
Because it's on the pattern, it's on the beat, it's on the harmony and the frequency that you can gig with.
Right.
But anyway, Earth was where people was coming to learn what's known as the mystic arts. The women were instructors in the mystic arts.
Okay.
But the women, they didn't stay incarnated in physical form. But the different species of trainees, they would come in and they would take on a form.
Okay.
For the purposes, the women could go to higher densities and then they can come to the 3D and materialize.
So how far could they go? 6, 7?
No, they can at least go to 21 dimensions straight up.
21?
Yeah, but they normally stop at 13.
How many dimensions are there?
Infinite.
Infinite? Oh, damn.
We at the lowest vibrational point
right.
in the hologram of the convergence.
Mm-hmm.
We are where the rays of light actually meet the wall.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about the first dimension, remember, writing is a 2-dimensional art.
2D. Yeah.
Right. And a dot is 1D.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As soon as you make any movement from the central point of the dot, you move into 2D.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So when you in the physical world, you in the 3D. Now the hologram is moving from a flat surface to the upright.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Now the chess pieces can be moved around from looking at it on the level.
Mm-hmm.
And the level is a Masonic tool for the construction of the temple.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when these women would materialize in the 3D,
mm-hmm.
they discovered the training method was to take what's 4th dimensional, express it 2-dimensional, and then it plays out 3-dimensionally.
In 3D. Oh, okay. That's deep.
So you leveraging the hologram off of the backdrop. The backdrop is the walls of the uterus of Big Mama.
All right.
Right. So now when the women would go to the 13th dimension, that's where they are all infinite spirit beings.
Right.
Right. And the ego is a side effect of being in the 3D. You don't have an ego in your dream. In your dream, everything you do is selfless.
Yeah.
But when you're in the physical world, you do selfish shit.
You do selfish shit all the time. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're trying to learn how to teach yourself to become the person in the dream. That's 4D.
Yeah, fourth dimension. Okay.
So the trick is to create a grimoire. What is the grimoire for? It's to take the 4D lessons, put them into 2D so that you become what you learn in 3D.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So
deep.
at 13th dimension, that's called Big Mama's house.
Okay.
From the 13th zodiac seat, we learn what Big Mama orders is from Big Mama house.
Okay.
So the women at this point, they had no need for a consort because they weren't stuck in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So when the first major wars of the Earth Chronicle, Earth was fighting the Andromeda beings because they were matriarchal, but they were a different kind of matriarch than we are.
All right, quick question. So it was only women having to fight these Andromeda beings
Right.
at that time? Okay,
And
and
the
were they fighting?
Andromeda beings came from a what's called a duality dimension where they
Golly.
had gender. The law of
Okay,
gender wasn't applied on Earth yet.
and that was that's the seventh hermetic principle.
The law of gender, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so this is what was called the gender contract. You hear me talking about it. I even did a video on the gender contract.
I do remember. Yep.
Right. So the women fighting the Andromeda beings was losing in a strength competition to the males from the Andromeda strain.
Okay.
Right. So the women formed a council on Earth and asked Big Mama, can they produce men as protectors from the other dimension? So this is how duality, gender, the law of gender, becomes implemented on Earth.
Oh shit. All right. So I felt like I was uh oh, okay, go ahead. Keep going, man. You're blowing my mind right now. Felt
Okay,
like
so
young
now,
when I said that. Oh shit, right?
right. So this is why I say that every closing of the age, homosexuality is rampant because the gender contract is being challenged.
Oh wow.
If the women determine that the men have outserved their purpose, they will erase our ass. They'll stop producing male children.
Yeah, there's a lot of us out here fucking up. I can tell you that. They might mess around and try it. I don't know. Good night.
If
Go ahead.
hey, look, if one of us bump straight, they might let us stay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to be the straightest straight bump I can bump when I bump straight.
Me too, man. Me too.
You know.
Yep. I'm
So
sorry. You up? Keep going. Yep.
the challenge to the gender contract, if the women determine that there's no sense of having men if the men gonna only love men. It's a waste. We can just go back to having women.
Yep.
Right? So guys are converts by the ones who's trying to get us to break the gender contract.
Wow.
And this is why the power is so great with the elemental Q community.
What the elemental Q? I don't understand.
Whatever the fuck they is, like some alphabet.
All right, all right. I understand what you mean then now. I got you. Okay.
Right. So they are strategically placed there as a military application to compel the woman to oust man from the earth so they can backdoor them with the dragon bitches.
Okay.
and replace the women's rulership with drag queens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
But it's not gonna work.
No, it's not gonna work. So, so you left off with women were gonna try to get men because they were dying, I guess. So, what's that story look like?
Well, it looked like Sanaya Lathan joining forces with the Predator in order to fight Alien.
Okay. All right.
Right. So that's the repeat of the story.
Okay.
They was the women they was hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Sanaya Lathan represents Kalima.
Kalima,
the great warrior spirit of the sister of the Shakti energy.
Yep. Yep. I just started reading MP Blavatsky and starting to get into some of that Shakti stuff. Like I've heard you say it several times. And then Rod was like, none of us are going to read this book. And I said, damn it, I'm going to read this book. And now I'm starting to learn a little bit about the Shakti stuff. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
But generally speaking, we wasn't going to read none of that shit.
No, I mean, I didn't know about it, man. I love reading.
Yeah. But remember how many of us don't want to read.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyrie, right? He was a great interview. He said, I always wondered why they said if you don't want black people to read, put it into a book. I mean, want black people to know anything, put it into a book. And it's pretty prevalent, you know. Like I said, Lineage was about getting people to read. I just started saying, forget it. Let me just post stuff because it's a little bit more effective to get people to understand in 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes, whatever, you know. It's unfortunate, but we're getting there, though. We're waking up.
Oh, man. It's to me right now where the reach that the information I put out in the public domain has had, and the impact is kind of making me nervous. But it's not making me nervous as in a fearful way. Okay. It's more like a holy shit, I didn't set this.
Mercilessly attacked by the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada eventually was backed up by the French and the Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
So we was boat jumping from this portion of Mexico going to support the islands. And that's why you see the islanders with varying different tribal makeups, because we had to go help them. This is where we had our resorts. Right. So Big Mama's on the mainland would trade delicacies with the people from the islands. We would always visit. They cut us off from each other by controlling the water. They took control of the seas first around the borderlands. Once they took control of the seas, they started first annexing the islands and claiming the islands as the territory under the doctrine of discovery. When they started getting pummeled, they sent the voyage around South America. And that's how the Califia Queens, caught without her kings, got assaulted and her castle got pummeled by the Spanish Armada. And then we didn't know what hit us.
Damn. So you ever seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean?
That's about the Spanish. Puerto Rico was set up as a port city, and it was where all of the thieves kept their wealth. That's why it's called the rich port, because all of the wealth that they was stealing from the tribes, they had to take it to Puerto Rico to be inventoried before they ship it to Europe. And the pirates, honor among thieves, that's why they set up cannons all around Puerto Rico for defensive measure.
Mm. Okay. We have South America here.
Yeah. So Brazil, being the first to assimilate the pale nations of Europe and make them become a distinctly different people than they was when they came. So we got a term called Brazilianization, which is a reflection of the drop of blood doctrine being assimilated with the least amount of resistance from the nomadic peoples, or the organic peoples, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Brazilians look different than the rest of the tribe, because they've assimilated.
Okay. Okay. I think I asked you this before with the, this we're going through like a real dope history lesson, y'all. There was a book when rocks cry out, and I believe he said that Jerusalem was the real Jerusalem was in Peru. You ever heard that before?
Look, Jerusalem is made up to push the Hebrew doctrine on us. Jerusalem only means city of peace. Wherever you seen the metropolis at was a Jerusalem, a city of peace. They just trying to make it seem like it's some uniquely special shit. And if you go back to 1945, when they established the United Nations, 1948 is when they finally did their first act as a concerted United Nations, when they seized that land on the Gaza Bank and the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But in the meeting between 45 and 48, they had 10 different locations that they was going to declare to be the state of Israel, right? With the city of Jerusalem as its capital. They settled on the city over there in the Middle East because they have ancient practices, right, built on top of ancient practices all in that area. And then they can use that as the justification for false narrative of religious doctrine. That don't work on me. So what they're telling you when they talk about a city peace is any city that wasn't in a state of war, because all of our cities is currently in a state of war. And we know this because all our cities have some stuff called police, which is slave catchers that worked for the empire, that ain't turning our empire. And they were the ones catching the braves and taking them as hostages to prevent them becoming chiefs.
Right. Yeah, we got Antarctica over here, huh? This is the
yeah.
This is what everybody talk about, Antarctica. Okay. Rod, is there any ancient texts that deal with Antarctica or the land over there?
Yep. The Hindus have a series of writings on the landmass, but under the ice, it would be Tartaria. It's actually called Tartarus in the Bible. In the book of Enoch, it's called Tartarus, and the book of Enoch gives you the terrain that's exactly the terrain under the ice, and it tell you it's the coldest desert in the world.
Right. Wow. Just going over some land here. Wow. Okay. We got Asia, we got Russia.
So what you're looking at now, we're looking at from what we would call the Anunnaki. Do you see where the separation is between so-called Africa and the Middle East?
You breaking up, Rod? You talking about? He said
that part right there.
Yeah.
Everything east of that, except for was Pakistan and India. Pakistan and India used to be called East Ethiopia. And Ethiopia means ether utopian. It goes back to something called Black root science.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to some documents. So this was the land of Enki.
Ethiopia.
Right?
All of this.
Those big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything north of India, Europe, and Asia is the land, and Australia. And it goes down to the Far East to Australia. That was all ISIS's territory or Inanna's territory by the division of the three Anunnakis of the earth. Then you had the Americas, which was the land of Tahuti, the great thunderbird, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, right? When you start reading those documents and you find out, you know, the story of the Arabs say, I saw a craft and flew east and landed in the land of the hairy barbarian. He's talking about the original inhabitants of Egypt. So when you zoom in, you will see that Nile River is an artificial construct. It's not original over there, right? It was once the source of the fertile nature of what's now called the Sahara Desert. But they engineered the Nile River to not run into the desert because they had to fill in the Mediterranean bit bigger because of Mount Vesuvius.
Right. Man. Yeah, this is that was interesting right there.
Yeah, I wasn't intending to go into no history lesson around the world.
Wow, man. That was yeah, and the thing about it, Rod, is that the maps, we don't even know how accurate the maps we got are. Like,
do a layover with the moon. You do a layover with the moon because the moon is reflecting the map of the earth.
Oh, the moon?
The moon is the tech. Yeah, so the moon is supposed to be able to be used to tell you if it's sunken lands. The sunken lands show up in the moon. They got the oldest reflection of the earth. It's seared in there for a reason.
Wow. We're going to get to two more questions that we're going to get out of here. Let's get to a super chat question. Hold up. Well, let me get to this one. What Rod, I think she's trying to say, what does Rod think about suicide?
Suicide resets you in the game. Take you back till you can figure out why you keep abandoning your post. So what actually the reason people commit suicide is part of the shut off matrix in the game. The game is designed that if you can't handle the pressure, that it ejects you from the game. And so you have to leave a clue behind for somebody to know that there was an issue here that needed to be studied so that we can find out how to exist longer within the parameters of the game. Most of us don't know. Nobody don't ever tell us when we little. You know, as you grow up, life's supposed to have ups and downs. Sometimes this shit supposed to get so hard you don't even want to be here no more. But you're supposed to work your way through it, and that's when the better days come. But it comes from not teaching people that life's supposed to get difficult, because the difficult times is the test for all of the easy times that you had before it. You were studying. Right. When you turn into a university, it hit different.
All right, let's get to the next question. Rod, can you explain how to reclaim family land if the corporation is defunct? Are land deeds contracts null and void?
The only thing they're going to be good for is what you call a trace record. The trace record is because, remember, the contract was canceled because they never honored the treaty. All of the treaties was all made up and predicated up on fraud, a constructed fraud. The constructed fraud was they declared $5 Indians chiefs and signed treaties as if they was with us. And when we seen in the South, a lot of us got trapped into what we call blind treaty agreements by not knowing the what we call the Queen's language, and not knowing the legalese, and not knowing that they're not the same. So a lot of them got trapped into signing treaties that they didn't have a fucking clue what they were signing, which was fraud. So when all of the contracts is canceled, when everything shut down and come back online, it'll be a path clearly to find out where your family's shit at. Because the corporation is defunct. It's a wrap.
Of course, Phil.
Okay, so